Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to this week's Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. And on this week's show, we'll be discussing Aberdeen playing Rangers and Motherwell playing Celtic, because that's all that seems to have happened in Scotland over the last week, continuously over and over again. And we'll also be looking at the Women's Cup final, which I was at the other week there. My first experience of a women's game, should be interesting. Along with Little Mixie's link with Greenock Morton, could be a bit ropey there. So on the show this week, to go through this with me, very kindly, it's my brother Andrew Menzies has decided to join us. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
How was your footballing experience at the weekend?
It was better because I watched a team win instead of go.
Andrew, of course, a foolhardy Falkirk fan, and thankfully the game was postponed.
A bit late.
So we'll be getting to the interesting social media reactions surrounding that. Should be quite interesting. And of course, I am your host, Paul Menzies. So enjoy the show, like and subscribe, it really helps us a lot if you do. Let's get straight to it. So, first things first, as always, to the news. One thing I've been noticing this week is, as I showed you in the car the other day, Andrew, Reggaeton Lento, the new Little Mix song, Reggaeton, has a little reference to Greenock Morton in it. Do you not agree with this at all?
I mean, slightly, yeah, but it's a bit ridiculous.
It's a bit ridiculous?
A little bit.
I don't know. Every day I drive into work in the car, Reggaeton Lento comes on, and I think slowly but surely over time this has just dawned on me that there's a little section in the show, and I'll play out a little bit of a clip now to show you what I mean. But basically, that sounds like Capillo.
Well, I used to have that one of the songs, and it was when I was much younger, but it was a song that used to go like Kirkcaldy. I thought it sounded like Kirkcaldy, but it was like Nobody.
Oh no, was that not You Shot Me Down Bang Bang? It was akin to that.
I think it was. Like, it was close to it, but
I hit the ground bang bang. That was it, my baby shot me. It was the bit before that, I think you used to say
Kirkcaldy, yeah.
Ironically, not a football team though.
But people playing Kirkcaldy.
But do you know why they were called Kirkcaldy?
Not entirely, no.
If anyone had club football 2005, you could get Rangers, Celtic. We had Manchester United.
Yep.
I think you could also get Arsenal, because Highbury was in the game, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And this was like Codemasters football game at the time. Sadly, no longer a thing. And they had, I think, like Scottish First Division teams, but unlicensed.
Yeah.
So Wraith Rovers would have been down as Kirkcaldy.
Because that was when, what was it? I think Mark Kerr was one of the hottest properties in Scottish football. He had one of the highest potential rates.
Right.
So that was a bit...
I know that he was a big football manager, starlet kind of way back in the day. Mm-hmm. We were speaking the other day about, players that could have gone to Barcelona, like... Because Will Hughes of playing quite well for Watford.
Is it Watford now?
Watford now, but yeah, when he was at Derby, was touted to be the next thing at Barcelona. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to put together like an 11, like Tony Gallagher at fullback? That
was completely
the
ridiculous
starlet that was associated. Wouldn't it be interesting to put together like a Barcelona 11?
Yeah,
that looked like that. So no, good club football memories. If anyone remembers that game, do write in, because that was fantastic. The only team we could beat, because it was quite a hard football game when we were quite young, was SC Bastia.
Yeah, the French one.
Who were the worst team in the French second division at the time. Who ironically have been promoted since and now hold down a pretty firm place in Ligue 1.
They've got quite a decent keeper, I think. I only know that because of FIFA, but
Bastia, I don't know. I don't know anybody. So, Reggaeton Lento sounding like Capillo and Kirkcaldy. But ironically, speaking of Little Mix, they're actually coming to the Falkirk Stadium on tour. And I reckon this is likely the only performance we'll see there this season. I
mean, the Falkirk fans enjoyed it. I'll give them that, because straight up, as soon as it went up, the first comments were nothing serious towards Little Mix. It was just, can they play up front?
Yeah, the Falkirk fans have actually been in quite good spirits this week, I would say.
Well, that's because we didn't have to play football on Saturday, probably.
Well, there you go. The game postponed against Livingston.
But I think Falkirk were meant to have their night out, the team night out, every time for Christmas, around about this time, and Hartley has cancelled both.
Well, I think the argument is if you're not playing well, why would you want to go on a Christmas night out?
Exactly.
For one? Why was the game called off at such late notice, actually?
I'm not entirely sure, but one of the comments did say, one of the comments did say, I was surprised to see that a pitch could freeze at +7, because you looked up the weather forecast, so, I mean, it might have been raining and they never, is it underground heating they've got with the soil?
Might have been, yeah.
But again, you can't turn that on until much later, and they didn't expect it, but if it's going to be one of the only, it was the only game in the Championship and the Premiership to be called off. There was one in League, was it Stennismuir that got called off against Cowdenbeath?
Maybe, yeah, I think so.
There's only those two.
I know there was a lot of people angry that Inverness Caledonian Thistle against Queen of the South wasn't called off because there was a bad accident on the A9, which meant they didn't get in until I think 3 o'clock in the morning to Dumfries to play, and they've played out a 0-0 draw in the end. Who knows whether things could have changed because of that? But also some of the St Johnstone players couldn't make the game against Dundee.
Yeah.
Because they were waylaid because of this road accident as well. So chaos across the country. But no, I don't know. Obviously, I was at the Armadale, the Tony Macaroni Arena.
Yes.
By its official name the week before, and the pitch seemed fine, in similar conditions. So I don't know what the dealio was there, but nonetheless, it gave Falkirk fans something to.
I mean, if it stays consistent throughout December, I think majority of people will be happy because. Well, there was jokes thrown about that we've been unbeaten in December.
There we go.
But there is also the fact is we can wait until January and just try and see who Hartley brings in. Because if his mad adventure down to England is going to do anything for him, might as well see where it goes. But again, the players don't want to play, so.
Well, the fans don't want to see them play either. I'm just I'm trying to scroll through the social media right now to see. Some of the top comments.
One of the ones was definitely our time, which was the full slogan at the start of the season. That it's our time because we've been competing for the past 2-3 years, and well, that went downhill incredibly quickly. It was a very high start, very positive, and now nothing but negativity really. But it's more got to the point where it's jokes because we kind of understand that we might go down.
I like this spirit. One comment, Colin Benny, I love macaroni pies, but only if they haven't been left in the freezer too long. It can be a costly business. Best result we've had in ages, Alan Walker says. Explosion in the kitchen, couldn't get the macaroni off the pitch. There's another one. Disgraceful decision. What's wrong with the pitch? Yeah, so it was a bizarre one, but did inspire.
Yeah.
Some fairly good comments. And other stadium disaster news, just Scottish football was just a shambles this week in terms of Hearts. Kick-off was delayed by 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Had a fire alarm go off. And then Rangers had an opportune moment for their AGM this week as well.
I mean, I did see a comparison between, what was it 3 years ago, their AGM, or was it last year?
Was this the tent on the
tent,
park?
yeah. Was that, how long ago? I'm not entirely sure how long ago that was, but I saw the comparison. It's like, I mean, it shows how much money Rangers have got now compared to back then, but still.
Well, they're building, that's for sure, but, still managerless.
Well, I mean, if you've watched the interview with Derek McInnes, it seemed a bit, I don't know, disheartened a little bit.
We'll discuss that a bit when we get to the Rangers game.
Yeah.
I think some questions thrown at them, one of which was they asked, I think, Dave King what school he went to. So I don't know what the line of questioning was at that time.
I mean, again, with the Falkirk one, there's some people that come and there's just some questions that are just completely... They're not related to the club and it really shouldn't be asked, but again, anyone can... It's fine.
Members of this podcast have thrown some daft comments towards the boards and meetings as well.
That was an interesting evening.
Not in attendance, sadly. You can work that one out for yourselves. So yeah, I think passion brings out some nutters.
Yeah, well, it doesn't.
Like, sort of events.
Some people don't lack passion. At least they've got heart.
Do you think it's necessary to have the fans' input at these sort of things?
I think, well, personally, if I just go for there's some fans that are interested and there's some fans that will happily come out every Saturday. So it's not a huge amount of fans that are that interested with AGM. Because some people don't really care about the finances, they just want to see a performance on the pitch. So if they have like a meet the players evening, which obviously Falkirk couldn't do at the moment, because it would just be sheer abuse. It's the same thing with that, but I quite enjoyed the AGM, to be fair. But it's just interesting to see what they're spending the money on and how they've done it. But again, the bar that they've spent money on the South Stand was a bit extravagant, and it genuinely is like a school canteen with a television that's held up by a silver pole.
Yeah, but you build it up over time.
Yeah.
And I noticed that at Livingston, actually, is they had quite a cool bar just, on the outside of the stand.
Yeah.
And, it's difficult with Scottish football rules and stuff like that being the way they are.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change.
So, no, I think they can be nice things as long as they're welcomed in the right way and everyone maintains a fresh attitude. But yeah, bad timing for that AGM, I think, with the managerless situation, a lot of people very disheartened. Another bit of news this week is Chris Eagles signed for Ross County last couple of weeks. Obviously a buddy of Owen Coyle's from his time at Burnley.
Yeah.
I remember a very exciting player used to be.
Was it Bolton for a bit? Like his best spell was at Burnley, definitely.
Well, I think there was a time at Bolton he was linked with Rangers, but Rangers couldn't afford his wage demands. Or I think before he went to Bolton he was linked with Rangers, and they couldn't afford his wage demands. But Ross County now can.
Yes, I think it's just because he's one of these players that's fallen out. Because like when Rangers got that Harry Forrester, again he was like Bradford's big man, or was it Brentford? I think it was Brentford.
Could have been either or.
I think it was Brentford, but he was like a fan's favourite at the time. But this was when they were in League One, I think.
Right.
And he was relatively impressive back then because I think I watched maybe a playoff or something. But he looked quite impressive in that one game I watched. And well, Chris Eagles again, like watching him for Ross County, he created about 3 or 4 chances. It wasn't as if he was quiet on his debut, but he's not going to do a job for you defensively. So I think they should just play him centrally behind a striker and just let him sort of float, because he's one of these players that he'll get you a goal.
He's a real flair player.
Yes.
I mean, he was very skillful at the time.
He's not overly complicated. That's what I like about him, because he'll do let's put it in FIFA perspective. Like he'll be able to do like all the 3-star skills. He'll never try like the proper player. But
is that what the scouts say about him? Don't make him try the 3-star skills.
No. But like it's just simple, like ball rolls, just like like you can tap the ball back and forth. It's not too complex. So he doesn't try any rainbow flicks like. Caught you.
Well, I think he could be good in our league. I think skillful players. You look at my favourite Sonny Aluko from all those years ago, or Jordan Jones at the moment, or quite a few. I'm trying to think of any other players. Someone like O'Halloran, kind of good dribblers generally get quite a lot out of this league. So I think a good signing for Ross County. That could be really interesting to see.
Yep.
So I guess speaking of the Premiership games. We'll go on the big derby, which took place over 2 legs this week. Aberdeen beaten by Rangers on both occasions. In what was pretty dismal, I think, and unimpressive from Aberdeen's point of view.
I wouldn't really say they created that many chances, to be fair. The free kick was, again, a good one, but Fotheringham questionable. But it did take a deflection.
Oh, I think it was a difficult free kick to save. But that and the game at the weekend, which finished 1-2 to Rangers.
It was very close. Like it was very similar territory. Like it was closer in, but it was similar territory to the Norwich boy that hit it in.
James Maddison.
James Maddison, similar to that. But James Maddison's was better.
But James Maddison's doing that like week on week.
Yeah,
in the Championship now.
Last week in league and Championship, he scored a free kick again. So
he's been called up to England under 21s now. So keep an eye. He's got a high FIFA potential rating as well in career mode. Keep an eye on him. But beyond that, you see the first goal by Danny Wilson.
That was a really, really good header.
What a header!
Backtracking and then just flicks it over Lewis.
I know. Willie Miller was unhappy with it in commentary on the radio, saying from that far out, but the power he gets on it is quite remarkable.
It's one of those where the defender will feel comfortable to let him give him maybe a yard because he's stepping back, and then that's when you lose all your power. But there's
so far away, no issues. So, and he's been under fire as well. I don't think he's particularly well liked by the Rangers contingent.
Well, I mean, he's not exactly the best at showing defensively at the moment. So
no, I'd never liked him when he moved from Hearts. When he was captain in quite a good side, and decided to make that decision. So yeah, Rangers very much resumed control from the first leg.
Yeah,
a pretty pathetic performance. I thought Aberdeen's defence was kind of weak and lackluster.
It was a bit dismal.
I've never been a fan of Anthony O'Connor. He's not one that inspires confidence, and I still think Scott McKenna, it's difficult because he's a very young. Yeah,
Scott McKenna, he can get there, but I don't trust O'Connor's. He's kind of like a Mojny when he was at Rangers. You cannot trust him.
I think he's a bit more dependable than Mojny was.
He's not got the anger. He's not got the temper.
He's not going to swing it. But again, Lee Irwin or something. It was
like say if O'Connor gets the ball, it's one of those where you want your striker to go and put him under pressure because he's the one that's most likely to make mistakes.
He is. Absolutely. I don't think the fullbacks did them many favours as well.
I think every team's got their weak link in defence because there's no one that seems to have the solid defence. Celtic have even got weak links.
I think in Scotland right now, if you're trying to build a good team, the hardest thing to find is a good centre-back and a good striker.
Yep.
Like, good centre-backs are very hard to come by at the moment, which is kind of frustrating because Scotland's always been known as, good defenders.
Yeah, but
really.
Again, with the rules sort of like bending towards less aggressive play, I think that's not done us any favours because you've got the old-fashioned defenders that can do it, but again, when they get called upon to use the ball at their feet, they can't do it. So that's why they never sort of progress up. You've got people that can defend, but they can't actually play a game.
No. Well, this is what we kind of spoke about before in that, when you go and see junior football, or I believe, at the weekend you went to see some kind of...
Sunday League, basically.
Sunday League, because there was no Falkirk game on. And like the guys you get in those leagues are very much like the footballers of 20 years ago, where they're very, very good at certain things, but very, very bad at other things.
Yep, because when I watched it, there was one guy specifically in the middle, because they played three at the back. Two guys which weren't that tall, and basically they'd just run in, like, they were very good at tackling, like, on the ground, and then the other guy in the middle was just an aerial threat, so every time they tried to punt a ball long, he was the first one there, and then basically he'd be able to hold people off and slow down the play.
Well, I think that's where we're kind of losing things now, in that we're producing a lot of young footballers who are kind of average at everything. Like, everyone's an all-rounder these days. They're not...
Yeah, that's the Scottish, like, because did they not recommend... Oh, what's it? One of my friends got trying to do a coaching badge, and they give you a specific way that they want you to play. They don't force you, but it's, again, they've got a preferred way. I think they're trying to edge into the three at the back. But, again, I like the three at the back, but you couldn't really trust Scotland to go three at the back, because the majority of people... Because defenders keep getting smaller. It's with the right and left backs. They all seem to be failed wingers these days. You get very rare, you've got your Considine who plays left back, but again he's a failed centre back.
He's not a failed centre back. He's just a centre half needing someone to play in the team.
Yeah, but if he's not getting picked at the centre half position, he needs to find another place. Because if you go back to Falkirk, you've got Luke Lee, who's striker, and then he failed in almost every position, but he did really well at left back.
Well, yeah, true. I know that. I think Carragher has always said, nobody wants to be a left back.
No one wants to grow up and be a Gary Neville.
Yeah, it's pretty much the comments he's made. So, I guess that's very true. I mean, I do think the Aberdeen wide men let them down as well. I thought.
I mean, the fact that Greg Stewart was playing in the Development League, it worries me a little bit, and he wasn't exactly.
Well, we spotted Greg Stewart against Falkirk in the Development League a couple of weeks prior,
and he wasn't exactly He was a threat. But I wouldn't say he was a first team threat. He didn't look that dangerous.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the top players on the pitch, but it didn't look like he was head and shoulders above.
Yeah.
You're like, you wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, that was Greg Stewart, the guy who tore up the Premiership 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of Aberdeen's fundamental problems at the moment, is they're still bedding in some of the new guys, like between Stevie May, Greg Stewart, Gary Mackay-Steven. And Scott Wright is still relatively fresh in the team as well. These guys just don't seem to, especially the likes of Greg Stewart, Stevie May, who are kind of coming off
bad spells.
Well, not bad spell, yeah, but no great spells in
No.
England. They've not rediscovered that sparkle yet.
Because Cummins will probably come back up soon because he's struggling.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Waghorn scored against his team at the weekend.
Yeah. And I think
absolutely
the last I checked of it, I think Cummins only got one goal, maybe two, if you're lucky.
Well, it's a difficult league. I think Championship is very.
It's a big step up.
But you see as well, I saw Braithwaite. He plays with Middlesbrough, Denmark international.
the FIFA beast.
It wasn't as good as Ben Yedder. I used to play alongside him at Toulouse.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very competitive league. So really disappointed in the performance. Aberdeen did look sheepish. Which some will say is highly ironic. I could not possibly comment as a big fan myself. And I think the performances they need to put in right now are with much more gusto to convince the manager to stay.
Yep. Because, if you just take the Ryan Jack example of him getting sent off,
Ooh.
I was reading down Twitter and a lot of people said Stevie May pulled out. He didn't pull out particularly, but he never went in. It's one of those where a 50-50, you go in everything or nothing. But he just kind of put his leg there and.
Oh, that was Did you not think it was a red card?
I'd say it's debatable.
Jack knew what he was doing.
I mean, he was going in 100% for the ball.
Yeah, he got the ball, but he could have pulled it after he got the ball. and instead left a lot on Stevie May, and it was a dangerous and reckless challenge.
Yeah, I would agree it was a red card, but again, I've seen yellow cards given for that sort of thing. But again, when you watch Willie Collins' view from where he's standing, I think he's standing behind Stevie May. It doesn't look nice at all.
It's horrific.
It looks really, really bad.
I think Jack was actually playing relatively well up until that point.
Yeah.
And I do believe he fills that Barry Ferguson role of the consistent, kind of no mistakes kind of man. He is consistent. 4 red cards this season doesn't lie.
I mean, he does. Have every single one's been rescinded?
I don't know. But I'm sorry, if you're getting 4 red cards, and I know a lot of them have been rescinded, but I think you need to be looking at some sort of 10-match ban.
I mean, well, again, it's just the way he plays. You can't really change that specifically. Like the SFA, if they're going to...
It's dangerous.
It is dangerous, but you can't just ban someone for 10 days, 10 games, just for dangerous play.
Yes, you can.
Not quite.
You can if you want it. But, yeah, he's been much more consistent. And, you kind of forget about Dorrans almost at the moment with the way they're playing. Well, I say the way they're playing. They played well against a really bad Aberdeen twice and then struggled massively against Dundee and Hamilton.
Yep.
Again
with Dundee, it's surprising though, because I found out that O'Hara used to play centre-back.
O'Hara's a brilliant player.
Yeah, but he was a defender he was a defender for Kilmarnock.
Hey, he was a fullback for Kilmarnock as well.
Yeah, which I find completely... he doesn't look natural in his position.
Was he a centre mid now for Dundee?
I think he was playing right mid.
A very utility man, shall we call him.
So he's impressive, to be fair, so...
I think he's one of the best talents this year. I thought he was younger than he was. I think he's like 24, 25.
Again, he's still got, 4 or 5 years left?
Mm-hmm. So no, Rangers beat by them and then Aberdeen make them look good. And it's my one criticism, I think, of Derek McInnes is he doesn't instill that winning mentality in that Aberdeen team. They don't... the only 2 teams that I can think of with this sort of mentality would be Celtic and Hibs. Like, Neil Lennon, love him or hate him, is a winner.
Yeah,
and
he will get his players up for the game.
Well, you look at how Hibs just steamrolled that championship last season.
Well, yeah, but
and then Celtic the way they steamrolled that championship. Aberdeen should be like that. You should steamroll your way to second, but not. I don't think you could compete with Celtic. No, they can't compete with Celtic, but they know that. But they should have the mentality that everyone else is very, very beatable.
Yeah.
And I think the one comment I would have about Aberdeen is they'll beat you behind your back, but face to face they'll bottle it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of mentality problems in this Rangers fixture, with the whole McInnes thing leading up to the game.
Yeah.
And who knows how intentional or unintentional all these mind games might be. And some people were like, that's not fair game. And it's like, well, this is a sport. Anything's fair game.
Yep.
And I think, the whole thing's become unsettled. McInnes, as you say, after the game was like, I'm tired of the speculation, but I'm not fully committing myself.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very, very disappointing. But Aberdeen are going backwards, and there's only one way they can go, is backwards.
Yeah, because were you not struggling, was it 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, everyone's been struggling at some time.
Yeah, but it's again, it seems like Motherwell are trying to, clip up your heels to try and steal this second place.
Well, I think it's Hibernian's the bigger threat,
but
as it stands.
Hibs they're on and off, though. They're grinding out results, but there's only so long you can grind out results. Well,
they were quite lucky against Partick.
Yeah, I would say
on
so.
Saturday. But they still got the results.
Yeah.
Poor Partick, top 6 last season, and now just in a total mess.
Yeah, it's not great.
We were speaking the other day about, Spittle and players like that who were quite big. Even like Miles Storey was playing quite well for them earlier on in the season. All that's just kind of... It's gone from the entire squad, which is a bit of a concern.
I mean, Spittle, he's just very positive. That's what I like about him. He's good with free kicks. He'll never be scared to run forward or anything, but it's always... Well, I enjoyed watching him when he played with Dundee United, to be fair. He really caused us a lot of problems, so...
Yeah, one of my personal favourites as well. I think, in terms of other Rangers player, I think Windass is playing really well at the moment.
That was a ridiculous dive.
That was terrible, but he did get booked for it, and he did acknowledge, I was at it.
Yeah.
And to be fair to him, 9 players out of 10
would go down.
Go for something like that. That's just the way of the game. So I've been really impressed with him.
I feel like he's another Barry Mackay, though. because you'll see him in a few games and he just looks absolutely brilliant, but then there's other games where he's just flat. Like,
well, it does remind me he's filling that kind of Barry Mackay kind of role at the moment.
Yep.
And when someone like Kenny Miller is not really firing at the moment, which isn't like himself, that's kind of where they're getting the goals from. We'll see how they get on in coming weeks. I don't think it's a fair reflection looking at Rangers against Aberdeen, but second place wide open.
Yep.
Right now, so we shall wait and see there. Also, Celtic for the third time in a week beat Motherwell 5-1.
I finally found the formula.
Aye, well, I feel sorry for Motherwell fans. Like,
they must get sick of that. Like, when Motherwell scored, watching it on the television, it was
2-1. They came back, wasn't it?
Yep, but it sounded silent. Like, as soon as Motherwell scored, you never heard a peep.
You wouldn't go. Like, even Celtic Park wasn't that busy. I mean, I'd be sick and tired at that point.
Yep, it's 3 in a row is a bit, because the first twice last time Motherwell should have won.
Well, absolutely.
Because I don't believe that was a penalty. So, and Celtic, I think they were just, again, James Forrest came on, great impact, and was it Eduarda? Edward. He was, well, you don't really have to say much about him because he was really impressive. But his third goal was a gift.
He's not shown his goal scoring prowess thus far. And there's been a lot of memes going about like Lee Griffiths is looking scared of it's not just Dembele I'm competing with now.
Yeah.
And the rumour is Edward's now quite keen to sign for Celtic.
Yeah, they do have a buyout. Have they got a clause after the loan? I think there was a clause because people were talking about triggering the clause.
He's not going to make the PSG side anytime soon.
No, I know, of course not, because they've got well too much money. But again, if he does a Celtic and he does like Dembele, I think he probably
another young Frenchman.
See that might be attractive to some of the footballers though, because Dembele's getting all this attention and he's at Celtic because he gets a chance to play in the Champions League as well. Mm-hmm. So you can show your talent just for a game or two, and then you could pop yourself up a few tiers.
But Dembele is injured quite a lot, and I think that goes against him.
Yep. But if he stays fit for long enough, Celtic could.
But he's never done it, and I think that's what's really stopping him from the big move. Because the discussion I had the other night was, does Dembele make the World Cup squad for France?
No.
Do you not think so?
Giroud, Lacazette, Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck.
I was going down there.
Bonjour, Danny.
Giroud, Lacazette, Kylian Mbappe. Mm-hmm. Who else have we got? Is there any French league standouts this year? There's probably one.
Striker-wise, I do not know.
Ben Yedder. Would you play Ben Yedder over?
He wouldn't get a national team because the French national team's a very kind of couche.
Yeah, they're pretty sorted for their...
Aye.
Griezmann.
Yeah, so of course as well.
You've got 4 that can easily slide their way into that team.
So maybe not.
Because Benzema's never getting called up under the manager at the moment. So
no, I think what you have to look at as well is in terms of Celtic drawing in inverted commas that game in midweek is that the only thing that's going for Scottish football now is Celtic's unbeaten record?
Yes.
If we don't have that, there's nothing else to talk about here. On the grander scale of things.
Well, Rangers come back. If it speeds up a bit, it might make Scottish football back to what it was. Mm-hmm. Because again, if the Celtic and Rangers, it was a huge derby. It's not.
But then we had some of the best players in the world, and they were in big European competitions competing with the big teams. That's not going to happen anymore.
But then that was when money wasn't as big of an issue.
No, that's for the 2 big teams.
Yep.
You mean? Yeah.
Because they could compete with the likes of because if you look at the Champions League now, you've got Celtic and or maybe Olympiacos or those sort of teams. They've got players that are good, but they can't afford players like they used to have, like Laudrups or the Henrik Larssons or anything like that.
Sadly not.
You're just having to take Premier League sort of rejects per se, because Scott Sinclair is an example of that, and
you're just hoping they turn out.
Yeah, Scott Sinclair again, he's struggling at the moment, so.
Got the penalty, so he's happy. Another exciting game at the weekend. Hearts drew 1-1 with Hamilton in what was allegedly a football game. I saw more of the police than I did any of the footballers.
Yep.
So I thought Hearts were playing quite well. An absolutely stunning free kick from Jamie Walker.
Again, he's another. He might go to Rangers. It's one of these things. But Rangers seem to like to source players from elsewhere. And I mean, they should have spent that money on him instead of Penna. or Pena.
Yeah, but it was difficult because Hearts were thinking, right, our Rangers are direct competition.
Yep.
And I think Jamie Walker's just head and shoulders above almost every player in that squad. He's just so much better.
I think Templeton was quite up for the game.
Templeton was brilliant. I think Templeton's playing really well at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, it was. But again, there's sometimes with him, it was when he played for Rangers, he was. I don't think he was interested because I don't think he had any motivation because he wasn't getting picked in the first team, or he looked like he was struggling in the Championship.
Again, one of these kind of sparks of a team, like he's got some finishing in him.
That's true.
Which for a Hamilton team is very, very valuable. I think they've got some. Is he Portuguese or Brazilian? Regano, boy, who's playing well as well. Darian McKinnon, on the other hand,
well, again, I don't think he should have been carded for
pushing over Austin McPhee.
See, again, I don't think that was a push because if you look, Austin McPhee grabs him, cuddles him, and then they all fall back together.
So the ball goes out of play. Levine's already been sent to the stand at this point because he wouldn't approach the referee to discuss with him.
Yeah,
which I think's petty.
And then he started to clap him, so he's obviously going to get an extra fine for that.
I think that was daft. I think, if the referee asks you to approach him for a conversation, you do it. Then there's no point of this macho man attitude. The referee should have ultimate control, and you have to respect that. So yeah, McKinnon, the ball gets out of play. McPhee picks it up and does that daft, like footballers do.
He steps back. No, but if you step back, you usually just drop it or you roll it away or something. But he just kept it behind his back when McKinnon was coming to him.
So McKinnon goes to try and get it behind his back. McPhee goes in his way. He falls over. Ruckus ensues. The police were trying to yank the goalkeeping coach off of folk, and it's like, when the police are involved in a matter on the sideline,
it's a bit of a joke, but.
I think he was just bored and lonely. He just wanted someone to chat to him because Levine had been sent to the stand. Well, yeah, but off I'll go as well.
Again, Levine was, what was he, head of football for Hearts for a bit, was it?
Well, director of football.
Director of football. So, would you expect a director of football of a club to act like that? I get there's passion, but it was just a bit petty and it was throwing the toys at the pram. It was a bit of a joke.
He's now complaining that it's going to take him 2 transfer windows to fix the team. You were the director of football.
He was picking the transfers. He can't.
Exactly. It's all him. And yes, I don't know how much input Cathro had for the randoms that came in and out.
I don't think he had. He was just happy to take the opportunity and wanted to see what he could do with it.
So no, that game was an absolute flash. And Hearts were already in major bother. The young lad sent off after half an hour.
Yep.
With what I thought was quite a soft red card. I don't think he necessarily elbowed him in the face, but
that did continue on to later when there was 2 players that went down in a matter of seconds. But the one that was given as the yellow card, I wouldn't have said that was a yellow card because it was one of those where you stick your hand out to get a feeling of where they are, but he's just kind of scuffed his nose a little bit, maybe. But
it was daft. Hearts, a big concern at the moment, as Michael Stewart's been very open about riling Craig Levine quite a bit.
Yep.
I think no win in the last 6. And I think it is difficult for them because of the home ground situation. Which, they've only now sorted out with Tynecastle just opening up.
Yep.
And I think the team is random. So random. And he's been trying different. We've had Cole Stockton up front recent weeks. Goncalves, Lafferty coming off the bench. It's not sorted there.
I think they need to find a core sort of team that do gel together. And I think it's just... I wouldn't say there's very many players in that team that have a similar playing style.
No.
It's always...
I think it's a shame. I think the heart of that squad was ripped out when they lost, the likes of Patterson, when they lost, was it Muirhead was quite good who left? And one of the other lads as well. And that was the kind of core, the really good 4 or 5 youth guys.
Yep.
And that's what you build your team around. So difficult to lose them. It looks like Walker will leave now, leaving them with effectively nothing. But there's a lot of young midfielders coming through there, so
we'll see how they end up.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not necessarily good. So I think they're closing in on the bottom of the table now, Hearts. So
bring them back down. That brings up the tickets.
Well,
but again, we might not be there.
Well, I guess speaking of the Championship, Dundee United go back top of the table. So Shaba Laszlo has righted the ship, beating 2-1 against Dunfermline.
That was a good result.
Title contenders, whilst I think contenders St Mirren lost,
which was not good at all for the bottom of the table.
Oh, was it Dumbarton that beat them 1-0?
It was Dumbarton that beat them 1-0.
So Dumbarton beat them 1-0. I think St Mirren, a man sent off. They'll be quite disappointed with that, but that puts Dumbarton 1 point ahead of Inverness Caledonian Thistle and 9 points ahead of Falkirk for that playoff place at the bottom of the table.
I think for a fact, if we come up against Wraith Rovers, if Wraith Rovers don't win that league and get into the playoff, we're done. Well, because we will get beat off of them.
The chat about Wraith Rovers is they're absolutely pants.
But Vaughan.
Well, the chat is they're absolutely pants minus Lewis Vaughan.
Yeah, he is incredible.
I think they're very, very fortunate to have him. I'm amazed they held on to him actually in the summer. That even a championship team, didn't go for him. Obviously, something to prove himself. But even the likes of Ayr United, playing quite well.
Yeah, but again, once you saw them come up last year, they just got bullied, really.
Ayr United.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a different,
It is a different.
Is
it quite a big
They've gone full time now as well.
Yep.
Picked up Laura Shanklin from the Championship, he's been putting away goals. He's struggled at Championship level, but seems to have found his feet there.
I mean, we probably should do with him at Falkirk, but you could do with anyone there at the moment.
But that to your point, do you see Falkirk beating some of these top League One sides?
No.
And it's probably not.
Right now, we'll see who he signs in January, because he says he's going down to England and he's going to try and sign 6 to 8 players. But again, it's going to be one of these. He's going to have to get the board behind him, and if the board they might give him a bit of money, but we might have to try and throw a lot of players out on loan to try and get this to go through. Because we can keep Gasparotto away on loan, because I think Morton would take him.
Well, they've taken him already.
Yep, but that's only emergency loan though.
Well, if they manage to monetize that Cape Low charity Christmas single from, I don't know how you're going to fit Reggaeton Lento. I'm sure Kitongo fits into Reggaeton, and then who could be Lento? 3 syllables. Write in with your suggestions for Morton's charity single. You see, they allow the fans to design the kit there as well.
What, the Morton?
Yeah.
To be fair, the Morton kits are quite smart.
Well, that's why it's fan designed. I think the 4 leading ones, there's one really cool one that's got like a really subtle saltire.
Yep.
In like the bottom with the way the blue stripes fits in.
I quite liked their yellow one last season. I think it was a away one. I think it was yellow and blue.
Yeah.
And I quite like the Millions sort of advertisement there as well. It's quite smart. It's better than Central Demolition Ltd.
At the top of League One right now, Ayr on 35, Wraith on 32, Arbroath on 23.
We could beat Arbroath, I reckon.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to be Arbroath that they would face in the playoff final.
It was just Wraith Rovers was a bit of a shock when they got beat in the. They didn't even get to the final, did they?
No, they got beat
in the semi.
They got beat by Alloa, didn't they?
I think so. And then was it
Brecon beat them?
Yep, because it was Livingston that came out last year, wasn't it?
So Alloa not contending in League One as well as I thought they would. They're 21 points.
They had a good start, but they kind of fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the teams you'd expect to be up at the top there, but a very alarming thoughts for Falkirk, who are, I think, the shock of Scottish football this season at this point.
Yep, it's a bit again. The attendance is clearly going down, and
not according to the figures.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure they take into account, because some teams just take into account the season tickets. So regardless if they swipe in or not, I think they take into account that, because it really didn't look like what they announced the last time. Because by the 60th minute, I'd say the attendance went to a quarter, because it was dreadful.
Well, as a result, we've taken it into our own hands and started to go into some different football games. So I was at the Women's Scottish Cup final on Sunday, broadcast live. Oh no, not last. Was it the Sunday before last?
No, it was last Sunday.
Last Sunday, or the Sunday before last, when you're listening to this. I went to the Scottish Women's Cup final at the Tony Macaroni Arena. I was thoroughly impressed. I thought, when you watch women's football on the TV, it's always kind of...
The World Cup's a bit of a disaster. The goalkeeping situation, which is always that.
The goalkeeping, you always worry about. The thing is, it was a game of quite few chances in typical Scottish football fashion.
Yep.
But there was a lot of interesting moves. They were very, very direct compared to the men, I thought. It was very much turn, play the long ball for the run in behind.
Yep.
And as a result, it was much more frantic and even pacey. I think you could argue. Some great dribbling and a fantastic 40-yard free kick that nobody was saving.
Yep.
From the Hibernian ladies who, beat Glasgow City, who haven't even conceded a goal since May.
It was a big shock, to be fair.
I know, but Glasgow City just didn't look up for it at all. Like,
I think they'd won the league 2 weeks before, or maybe a week before or something.
Yeah.
So I think they thought the job's done, they'll be able to walk them, but I don't know.
not at all. Hibs. I wouldn't say Hibs bossed the game, but Glasgow City certainly didn't trouble them.
Yep.
And Hibernian took their chances very, very well. So credit to them. I think I'm a bit of a Hibernian ladies fan, to be honest. It's very exciting. You're hearing the sunshine on Leith after the game and stuff as well. It's a nice song to play, I think.
But how many people were there singing it though?
There was an attendance of 1,400, which I thought, considering the game was on at the same time as the Betfred Cup final.
Yeah, it's not half bad.
No, I thought it was really good. And I must actually commend, the woman as well, because after the game, the trophy presentation, they all hung about to sign autographs.
Yep.
I would say at least half the crowd stayed behind, and even the Glasgow City girls who'd just been beaten 3-0 hung about to sign autographs as well. And you don't see that from, your like Motherwell getting beat against Celtic, or even when Falkirk lose 3-0 at Falkirk, they're saying autographs.
It's just it's just a bit of an issue. Like when you lose, I don't like with the full thing of seeing like players like sort of smiling and having a laugh with people, because like there used to be like old fashioned players that they'd go in a mood, they wouldn't want to talk to each other again. But
I think that was the comment from Gattuso, I think, today. Is he taking over AC Milan now?
And they got
they drew against a team that was their first point, and the goalkeeper scored in like 90 plus 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Bentacaluso, or
it was something like that. But the fans looked over the moon.
Their first point in the league against AC Milan.
Gattuso, after, I'm pretty sure the interview said he would have preferred a bullet, a bullet to the heart or something.
Well, he said he doesn't like how after the game, players taking selfies and stuff like that. I think I kind of see it. I kind of don't. I don't know. I liked the accessibility, of like all the fans kind of getting to see the players and stuff like that.
Yeah, but he's a bit of a psychopath though, because he did get done. Was it in the lower league? He slapped his assistant.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so he got in trouble for that. But he's got passion. I'll give him that. But
there's some Italian that's taken. I can't remember if it's not Luca Toni. But one of the ex-players has taken an Italian team from like the 5th division, and they're now like in, I think, the 3rd or the 2nd division, on their way to the top.
So who was the team that got was it liquidated? They had to stop playing because they couldn't afford it.
I don't know.
Palermo?
Did they?
Was it Parma?
Probably Parma. I think Palermo was the one.
Because it was Parma, because they had that Biabiani, the really, really fast French player that was on loan to them.
Uh-huh.
And then they went down to the 5th tier. So I thought they would have came back up a little bit quicker, but I have no idea.
So women's football.
Yep.
I thoroughly recommend it. It was no worse than what I've watched at Falkirk this season. I'll say that.
I'm not surprised.
So on the other hand, you went to, what game did you go to?
Millen. It was a pub game.
But who were they playing?
Some Fife team.
Some Fife team.
Yeah.
Right,
so
very official.
that again, since it's in Falkirk, you get the full Fife. You hate Fife and stuff. It was just quite funny, but I'd probably say they had one good player.
Yeah,
it was a midfielder. He was a wee boy, but he bossed the game really. But again, better goals than I've seen in Falkirk in a long time, because there was an overhead kick. There was one that was just outside the box that went in bottom corner perfectly as well, and then there was another one that curled in top corner. So, and none of the goals were pretty. So
that's the thing. At the end of the day, we go to football games to see goals.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so fantastic about, we go to the development league games every week.
Which is almost both teams to score every time.
Pretty much. And and the quality of the football almost doesn't matter at that point, because you're getting to see the goals, and we've seen some cracking goals this season versus the professional team at Falkirk.
Which you've seen nothing.
I can't name you I don't think I've seen a good goal from either.
I don't think we've scored from. Wait, no, we have. We've scored from outside the box once with Joe McKee when we beat Morton, which was a really lucky. I think it was 30 yards out or something. They never put up a wall, and he just hit it, and then the goalkeeper clearly never saw it, but it just rolled in.
The stats of the way Scottish football teams scoring outside the box are abysmal. Yeah. I think it's 4% of all chances taken or something like that. And again, I think it reflects the incredibly poor finishing some of our players have.
Because Falkirk have always usually had their long shot specialists. So we had the likes of Luke Lie last year. He could always hit a brilliant volley. That was one thing he was known for.
Well, Volks as well.
Well, Volks was brilliant, and Blair Alston as well.
Who's being pretty terrible for St Johnstone.
He got an assist at the weekend, to be fair.
He's probably gone, I think.
He can come back. I'd take him back, but he wouldn't come back.
No, nobody would want to.
Nope.
Nobody would want
He'll probably go to your likes of like Dundee United or something. Or someone that might come up, or St Mirren? Jack Ross might take him.
No, I don't think so.
You not like him? He's one of these players where I wouldn't say he was very good at dribbling or anything. He just had a very good shot and he could put in a good cross.
Not many players can do that.
No.
Across the land. But, so we'll wait and see. I've not really heard many January transfer rumours going about so far.
It's Tony Gallagher to Barcelona. We can try and get that one up again.
But along with Will Hughes and Mark Kerr of yesterday. We need to drag out that club football game, see what players were like.
Was there not like an LMA that we played for a bit as well?
Yeah.
I cannot remember that at all, but I can.
It was fantastic because it had this really detailed like stadium creator that you could take any stand from any football team and put it in your stadium. So it had like actual Pittodrie. It had like actual.
It did have the actual Falkirk Stadium, to be fair. I remember because there was only 2 stands at the time.
I think it had a replica of it.
Yeah,
but it didn't have the exact model. Like they had real Celtic Park. They had real eyebrows, and of course, when you went into the game simulation, it was like kind of ropey.
Yeah.
But
it was PlayStation 2.
Well, that's the thing though. It was very accessible on the PS2. You know, that was our first kind of go. I got Aberdeen to the UEFA Cup the first year. Played against like Roma and stuff like that. It was all very. Oh yeah, Rangers had this Frenchman called Bernard, who just always scored free kicks, irrespective of where they were from. You could have a free kick for the outside of their own D, and he would still score the flipping free kick against you. Which is very, very frustrating. So some odd names as well. And I know that the title song sounds very, very similar to My Sharona, our theme for this podcast. I know some people thought that's what we were going for, but sadly we weren't that clever in picking a theme tune. So, what are the best footballing games then, Andrew?
Best ones?
Aside from FIFA, because that's just like...
PES 6, I think it was. I think it was the orange one.
The yellow one with like Adriano on the cover.
Yeah, I think that one was a lot. I really enjoyed that one.
Good thing about that was you could kind of mess with it a bit, and it was a much more customizable. So you mess about with the formations a lot more. You could create your own players, create your own team. So even like if the player wasn't in the game, you could still like kind of put them there.
Yeah.
You used to be able to do that in old FIFAs as well, because I remember I always used to put the Falkirk players in like FIFA 06.
Yeah.
And the way I did it was like, I remember Liam Craig, I think, joined Falkirk.
St John. Oh, he had a nightmare in St Johnstone, actually. Did you see that?
No.
He was on the post. He was on the post, and it was one of those where he was standing on the right side of the post, but the ball came to him, and he tried to hit it with his left foot. Like, it was one of these where you could just, like, you bring your foot up a wee bit, and you just volley it away. It's like, usually the practice, they throw the ball at you. It was one of them, but he just let it slide under his foot. So it was. I mean, that's another Falkirk player that's kind of fallen through the ropes.
He's kind of been a forgotten man. When he left and came back to St Johnstone, he's never quite been the same.
The only thing I remember of him at Falkirk was when he got sent off against Dunfermline, and he'd never even played.
Well,
because he turned round to one of the fans and he just started like shouting at them and stuff, and then he got himself sent off. So it was the first time I'd seen that.
Well, I remember. When I put him in the game, I put him in as like a 70 overall, being the ambitious person I was. And to achieve that, I just put all his stats to 70. Which, because, how else do you get that average otherwise? It wasn't going to pan out.
Yeah.
And you could do a bit of stat boosting, like get, my hero Darren Mackey up to like, 80 or something like that.
Yeah,
Despite the fact he was rated like 58, but he was my top scorer because he was in the middle of the 4-3-3. And crosses were like OP in that game.
Yep.
So it was like cross, goal. And that was the career... I did a career mode in 06 where I took Real Madrid B to be better than original Real Madrid, which you can't really do anymore. I think there's a few B teams in the new games.
There's a few... I think Barcelona B. I think they must be in it. Are they? Probably not.
I think there's a few German teams in the kind of the third Bundesliga.
Yeah, but I don't think they can come out the third Bundesliga.
I think they've fixed it. And now I think they've also fixed it. They've got the flipping top 6 in career mode for the Scottish stuff. So, which is a bit of
for the league.
Yeah, the split.
So they must have paid more money for that. But again,
well, they wouldn't have paid more money for it. It's just a bit of trickery in the code. But I don't know how they've done it because it's a really confusing system, which needs to be dropped. Actually,
I'm not a fan of it, to be fair. But
I think it's run its course. in terms of format now. I think we're the only. Nobody else does anything like it because we play 3 games against each other and then. But then that was a thought I had the other day was watching, I think, Filed against Wigan.
Filed? Oh, was that the one? Was it 1-1?
1 each. Quality game, fairly decent. Stadium was cracking for a team that's like, no, and I was like, how professional is Scottish football?
Because I remember when Hibs were playing, it was one of the amateur teams, but it was on Alba. And probably the highlight of the game, because I think Hibs won 3 or 4-0. The highlight of the game was Hibs missed a shot so badly it hit the cameraman. So there was a cameraman behind the goal and it just hit him like straight in the head. Like,
that wasn't when they played at Tynecastle, was it?
No. It wasn't Tynecastle. It was one of the stadiums where you could see like a cricket ground on the other side.
But it put me in the question how professional Scottish football is. In that we have one full professional league, and then
the Championship's almost.
Yeah, but it's not.
Because who's not full time?
Dumbarton. I don't think Brecon are.
I thought Brecon went full time once he got promoted.
I don't know, but then the quality of the football don't think quite merits it.
Oh no, it's dreadful.
So perhaps a discussion for another time. But I think that brings us towards the end of our podcast this week. So thank you very much for joining me, Andrew.
Not a bother.
And thank you very much for listening if you got this far. From myself, Paul. Tune in next week. We'll be discussing all the usual subject matter. We're getting towards Christmas now. So we'll be thinking about Christmas special, having a few Christmas recommendations and seeing how Celtic get on against Anderlecht and hopefully not completely bottling it, which I think there's a remote chance of actually happening. But anyway, have a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good morning. See you later.